Hey everybody, so today I'm going to teach you how to make really simple soft bake cookies. Now you can make them chocolate chip cookies, you can make them just regular plain, almost like a butter cookie. But first I'm going to tell you what you need. And this is perfect for holiday cookies. You could dress them up, you could use sprinkles, you can use whatever you want. So you're going to need a whole stick of butter. That's 8 tablespoons of butter. You're going to want to put that in a glass jar or a cup, and you're going to want to melt it down. Don't make it hot, but make sure that it is liquid. You're going to need a half a cup of white sugar. You're going to need a quarter cup of brown sugar. You're going to need a teaspoon of vanilla. You can also use imitation vanilla extract. It really doesn't matter, whichever one is better for your taste. You're going to need an egg. You're going to need 1.5 cup of white flour. And then you're going to need a half a teaspoon of baking soda, and you're going to need a half a teaspoon of salt. So let's get started. First thing that you're going to do is you're going to take that butter that you have melted up, and you can use a stand mixer or you can use a hand mixer, and you can just mix it by hand or you can use the hand mixer. So first thing that you're going to do is you're going to put your melted up butter. Then you're going to want to put a half a cup of white sugar, which I have conveniently over here. Half a cup of white sugar. A quarter cup of brown sugar. And you're going to want to make sure that it's packed in there pretty good, because the brown sugar is what's going to keep your cookies soft. So you're just going to take that brown sugar and you're going to dump that into the mix. And then you're going to take a teaspoon of vanilla, which I'm going to go and I'm going to put that in there right now. This is a teaspoon right here. So I'm going to dump that in there. You're also going to want to preheat your oven to 350 degrees. So after you have your vanilla, your brown sugar, your white sugar, and your butter in there, you're going to add 1 egg into the mix. And then you're going to mix this part of it up. You don't need to beat it too much. Just make sure that it mixes nice. And I'll show you in there what it's going to look like. Just until that's blended together. And you can see I didn't mix it too much. It's just a consistency, I would say. It looks almost like applesauce. So after you have that mixed together, you're going to go ahead and you're going to put 1.5 cups of flour in there. Level it off. You're going to put it on low, and you're going to mix the 1.5 cups of flour into the mix. So that's the cup. Now I'm going to put 1/2 cup. So that's going to be your 1.5 cups of flour. You can add it in slow. I just like to dump it in just because I'm making the video. Then you're going to also add a teaspoon of baking soda. So let's get that bad boy in there. And you're going to add a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. You can add a little more salt if you want. Sometimes it brings out the flavor a little better in the cookies, so that's up to you. But the salt is important, so make sure that you don't forget about that. And then what you're going to do is you're going to put your additives in. I'm going to put some Reese's peanut butter chips in there, but I also just made a batch of honey marshmallows. So what you're going to do is you're going to get the little marshmallows, the ones for like the hot chocolate that come in a baggie. You can use about half of this bag. So this bag is 10 ounces, so you would put like 5 ounces of chips in. If you want to make the honey marshmallow one, what you're going to do is you're going to put, you could buy a bag about this size, or you can use 1 cup of the mini marshmallows, and then you're going to pour honey into it. Now the honey is going to sort of stay in these little gooey strings inside the cookie, so put the honey in as much as you like for taste. So now I'm just going to add these chips into it, if I can get them open. I couldn't get the bag open before. But, oh, I think I did it. Nope. I'm chewing it open because these cookies are for me, but if you're making them for someone else, you probably don't want to do it. Now, when I add the chips, and you could see it's like a real kind of doughy consistency now. When you add the chips, if you're going to use a stand mixer, what I do is I unlock it so that it can sort of move up and down, bounce around with the chips on the bottom of it so it's not crushing them all to pieces. So you're going to put your mixer on low, and you're going to add about half of that bag into the mix. And again, this whole recipe should really only take you about 5 or 6 minutes to make. So you can see what I mean, how it's jumping up and down a little bit. If I had it locked in place, it would be crushing the chips at the bottom because it wouldn't have that little bit of extra room to sort of move around. So that's what I like to do. Now, what you want to do now is you preheated your oven to 350. You want to get a baking sheet, which I have over here. So, and when I use a baking sheet, I like to. Some people use parchment paper. Other people use different things. My niece is here. And what I like to do is I like to just make sure that I spray it down with Pam really good, and I'm going to show you what that is in a second. Okay, so my little niece just came in and brought me all my mail, which is really sweet, so I just paused the video so we could sort it, give the rest out. But now that you have your batter all mixed up, what I'm going to do is, because you can see it's sort of all stuck to the thing. It's just one big giant clump right now, just all stuck to the thing. I'm going to put my mixer back in here, and I'm just going to turn it on to whip it all off of the blades. And I'm going to slowly lift it up so it can flick it all off inside the jar. Okay, and then once you have all of the batter in the jar, you're just going to turn this off and lift it up. And now you can see how this is like nice and clean. So that's sort of my little trick to get it all off of the mixer. So now that we have that all set, we're just going to unclick this little fella. Oh, I'm turning it the wrong way. That might not help too much. Okay. Now, when you go to make these and you go to put them on the tray, basically, you're just gonna, you could take, if you have an ice cream scoop, that would be perfect. Or you can just, if you want big cookies, obviously, you're gonna make it into a big bowl. I'm gonna just make it into a bowl about this size. You know, fits in the palm of your hand pretty good. And then when you place them on the tray, these are not gonna spread very much, but they will spread a little. So just make sure that when you place them onto the tray that they're, you know, a couple inches apart, 3 or 4 inches apart. So basically, after you have all of the dough ready, you're just going to take them, you're going to spread them out, like I said, and then you're going to pop them in the oven, 350 degrees. Do not overbake these, because if you do, they will completely burn on the bottom. These get done in about 8 minutes where I am, but you know, cooking times differ, depend on where you live. So just make sure that you're watching them. I would not cook them, no matter where you live, I would not cook them for longer than like 10 minutes. If they still look like they're a little bit, you know, uncooked in the middle, you can leave them in for another minute or two. If you want to take a spatula real quick and pop one over and make sure that the bottom is just brown and not burnt, that's also a good way to check to see if they're done, because if the top looks a little undercooked, that's fine. It'll still keep it from getting into a hard cookie, so it'll stay soft. Even if it looks like it's not done, it'll still be, you know, ooey gooey. So now, like I said, you're just going to take these, you're going to pop them in the oven, 350 degrees, and you are going to keep an eye on them. Don't let them burn. And this just made 3, 6, this made 10. You could probably get 12 out of them, a whole dozen, if you made them just a little bit smaller. And if you just wanted to make like 6 giant cookies, which a lot of people do, you could do that too. So I hope you liked this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Share it with anybody who might need to be making some cookies for the holidays. And thanks for watching. Bye.